Okay, so this is an ALEKS problem about interconversion of prefixed SI units. Remember, SI stands for System International, or International System. Powers of 10, we often refer to it as the metric system. So in the question it says a medical technician measures the length of a tropical parasite insect, and the length is 146 mm. That's millimeters. What is the length in centimeters? And then write your answer as a decimal. So one of the things you have to get used to when you do these types of problems is that there are really three things you're looking at in what we call measurements. This is the measurement of length. How long is something? How long is this insect? So there's the number 146. And then there's the prefix, which is, in this particular problem, milli, or centi, because you're doing a conversion from milli to centi. And then there's the actual unit, which is meters. So that's the base unit is the meter. And so I'm going to show you the method that I use to do this type of problem. And again, as you go through problem solving, there are different strategies we can use to solve the same kind of problem, but I'm going to show you the method that I use. And that is, the first step is to turn it into the base unit. So I'm going to write the number down here, 146 millimeters. And then if we go to our table, we'll find that the milli, which has the abbreviation m, lowercase m, is 10 to the minus 3. And notice that that is written in what we would call exponential notation. 10 to the minus 3 is the same thing as 0.001. So you'll see it in decimal notation, 0.001, but you'll also see it in exponential notation, 10 to the minus 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this. Milli is 10 to the minus 3. So that means that 1 millimeter is equal to 10 to the minus 3 meters. Okay? So 1 milli is 10 to the minus 3. So 1 millimeter is 10 to the minus 3 meters. And then we use this as a conversion factor. So what I'm going to do in step 1 is go from millimeters to what we would call the base unit, which is meters. So I'm getting rid of the milli and just converting it into meters. And then in the second step, I'm converting it from meters back into this derived unit, which is centimeter. Here, let me get rid of this. Make this in a centimeter. Okay, so let's try that out. So we have 146 millimeters, and this is where we're doing conversion factors. It's an important aspect of chapter 1. It's really discussed very, what we might claim to be pretty briefly, but it's an important topic that you use throughout the sciences. So 146 millimeters. I'm going to convert this into meters. So I want to have it in meters. I'm starting with millimeters. So I'm going to put the 10 to the minus 3 meters in the numerator, the top, and then put the millimeters, 1 millimeter, down in the bottom. And again, it's this idea that we're doing dimensional analysis. Millimeters divided by millimeters is 1. So now we have 146, and the units, the only units we have left are meters. So that would be the units. But how do we deal with this 10 to the minus 3? Well, usually the notation we use is we take this number, 146, and then we're multiplying, even though there's no multiplication symbol there, we're multiplying. So the notation we use is we put in x for times, and then 10 to the minus 3. So the notation here is you write the decimal number times and then your power of 10. And then don't forget the units. This is in meters. Now that's not the answer to the question, because the question was how many centimeters is this? And this might seem rather involved that we're going to do 2 steps, but this is just one way to do it. So now we have 146 times 10 to the minus 3 meters. How do we convert that into centimeters? Well, again, centi is one of those prefixes that's in chapter 1 in that table. And the symbol for centi is a lowercase c, and that's 10 to the minus 2. Again, I recommend that you memorize these prefixes, and 10 to the minus 2 is the same thing as 0.01. So if you look at centi, it's larger than milli by power of 10. So now, same thing, we do a conversion factor. So 1 centimeter would be equal to 10 to the minus 2 centimeters. So see the format of this? There's the number, then there's the prefix, then there's the measurement unit, the base unit, which is the meter in this case. So we can make a conversion factor out of this. So we take our number, 146 times 10 to the minus 3 meters, and we ask ourselves, what's the conversion factor we want to use? Well, we want to get it into centimeters. That was the question, how many centimeters? So we want to have centimeters in the top. So we put 1 centimeter in the numerator, and we put 10 to the minus 2 meters in the denominator. Again, what's my logic? The logic is we want to have centimeters, so meter divided by meter cancels out. Now, your calculator, it's important that you know how to use your calculator here. I can't tell you how many people make mistakes based on the calculator. If you take 146 and you multiply it by 10 to the minus 3, and then you divide it by 10 to the minus 3, what you get is 14.6. And then our units are centimeters. And that would be our answer. Okay? So the trickiest part here is setting up the conversion factors and using those. And then probably the second most tricky thing is for you to use your calculator properly. So practice with your calculator and see if you get it right. And if you have problems with that, then get in touch with me about your calculator. We can work out some way to give you some information on how to do that.